All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to one of our first of many this fall term of the OAO CE at Home for our members-only webinars. Once again, I'm Dr. Jeff Spears, the chair of the OAO Member Education Committee. And as I mentioned, we have a busy start to the fall season with 3 webinars coming up. All of these events do have openings, so please check into the OAO webpage if you'd like to sign up for the additional 2 we have coming up. We also have a live event coming up in a week or two, October the 2nd, which is only $120, and you'll receive 7 hours of premium education. Just a few quick housekeeping remarks before we get underway. In order to verify your attendance for tonight's session, the time that you log in and out will be used to track your continuing education credit. A speaker and course evaluation will automatically open at the end of the session, and we would appreciate if you could share your thoughts on the quality of tonight's presentation with our sponsor as well as our team. Your education certificate, which will be emailed to you to the account that you provided when you registered for the session, which will be done so in the next week. The OAO will be submitting your credits on behalf of ARBO using OE tracker number that you were asked to also supply. If you have not provided your OE tracker number, please contact Kim at the OAO. We do have over 230 optometrists participating on this webinar, so we have muted everyone to decrease the background noise. Right now we are at actually an astounding 160, so we still expect a few more to jump on. If you'd like to ask a question, please type it into the box in the bottom right-hand side. The speaker will select questions based on time availability at the end of the session this evening. Please note that we may not get to all the questions, and we will log all the questions at the end and have the answers posted in the next coming weeks on the OAO member website. On to tonight's webinar, which is sponsored by Ascenta Professional. Ascenta Professional provides a unique and effective line of premium omega-3 fatty acid products developed exclusively for health professionals. Evolving from the success of our retail brand, NutriC, Ascenta Professionals offers high-potency and unique targeted and research-based formulations in the natural triglyceride form and from substantially sourced ingredients. Our industry-leading taste and purity is backed by PureCheck, a third-party testing program that guarantees every lot of the products have been independently tested for the quality, purity, and label claims. Your speaker tonight is an expert in the field and an OAO member. Dr. Lori Capona is a founder of the Eye Wellness, a new concept center that brings together eye care and nutrition. She's also a partner in Peninsula Vision Associates and co-authors of 2 books, one called Eye Foods, a food plan for healthy eyes, and Eye Foods for Kids, a tasty guide to nutrition and eye health. In addition to writing numerous articles on the topic of nutrition and eye health, Dr. Capona speaks frequently about these topics to fellow doctors and the public. Her mission is to inspire and educate eye care professionals and the public about the power of ocular nutrition and prevention. Please welcome Dr. Capona.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you to the OAO for hosting the webinar tonight and to Ascenta for sponsoring it. And thank you, everyone, for joining me tonight. I hope everyone is excited to learn about how to grow your practice with nutrition. Tonight, we're going to go on a journey through the 7 steps to successfully incorporating nutrition into your practice. And at the end of this webinar, you will feel more confident in educating your patients about nutrition and inspired to integrate ocular nutrition into your practice at a higher level. Offering ocular nutrition in your practice is a proactive way to provide your existing patients the best medical care and value without discounting your services and products. It gives your patients a sense of empowerment because rather than just focusing on treatment, you are educating them about prevention and helping them to be proactive. This is something that will help you stand out from the competition. So what are you going to gain from this webinar tonight? Once we go through the 7 steps to incorporating nutrition into your practice, you are going to see how you can get an increase in referrals from your patients, friends, and family. You're going to see how you can get an increase in web traffic. You will learn how to attract proactive patients who are seeking quality care. You will engage more people through social media. You will learn how to increase revenue through supplement and also through optical sales. And most importantly, you will empower your patients through education. So this is a COPE-approved lecture, so I'm going to put my disclosure slide up. I do have proprietary interests in LB Media Concepts, which is the publishing company that I founded to publish and write and publish the iFoods books. And in the past year, I've received honoraria from Alcon and from Essentia. So these are the 7 steps that we're going to go through tonight in this webinar. Education, creating the environment, creating an ocular nutrition exam, formulating ocular nutrition treatment plans. We're going to learn how to complete the experience through retailing supplements, then how to market what we're doing and spread the message, and then finally how to follow up and make sure that this nutrition niche we've created is running smoothly. Now this 7-step plan works. This is the actual plan that I used last year when I started my new center, iWellness, which is a whole clinic that is based around nutrition and takes a holistic approach. But if you just even want to change 1 or 2 things in your practice and just start talking about nutrition a little more, this 7-step plan can help with that as well. So I know that implementing changes in your office isn't easy. Your team members may have innovative ideas for the practice, but are hesitant to bring up a new idea to the doctors because they're concerned you may object or not be as passionate about the idea as you are. As doctors, you may delay or avoid initiating changes in the office because you are afraid that your team will resist and see it as just another thing to add to their already busy schedules. There might be a little voice in your head that is saying, I find nutrition to be too confusing. Where do I begin? The patients are going to have questions that I can't answer, so I avoid the discussion altogether. I don't have time to add another thing to my eye exam. And if I'm running behind, I can't counsel patients about prevention. But once we go through this step-by-step method, you're going to overcome these common roadblocks and be able to effectively integrate nutrition into your practice. So let's start by looking at the first step, educate. Anytime we do anything new in our lives or in our practice, in our career, we educate ourselves first. And then we will educate our team, and then both ourselves and our team are going to be able to educate our patients. So information in the area of nutrition is constantly changing and evolving. So it's important to have resources available to keep ourselves current. The iFoods blog, the iFoods website, we're constantly updating with new information and new tidbits, especially that you can share with your patients. But other important resources that I like to use are the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. That's a very good resource. The Review of Optometry has a couple nutrition supplements that they put out that are also very good. There's Nutrition Columns Monthly in Optometric Management. And then finally, the Ocular Nutrition Society. This is a fantastic group, which I encourage everybody to become a member of. It's just a small yearly fee, and you have access to all of their white papers on the website. You can go to their, they do a bi-yearly CE conference where they bring the experts in nutrition to speak. And they have a great forum where everybody's sharing ideas and the latest science. So tonight, we're going to look at the 7 of the most important nutrients for ocular function. This is going to be a crash course on these nutrients, and we're going to look at things a little differently because usually in nutrition lectures we look at the nutrients and see what eye disease do they prevent. But I'm going to take things back to the basics because the eye uses nutrients to function. So we're going to talk about the nutrients, where they are in the eye, and what their purpose is. Now keep in mind this in itself can be an hour talk, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So let's start with the first 2 nutrients, lutein and zeaxanthin. Lutein and zeaxanthin are carotenoids or pigments that are found in nature. And in the eye, they're located in the macula and the lens. And they have 2 main functions, 1, to absorb blue light, and 2, to act as antioxidants. So let's digress a little bit and talk about blue light. We're hearing so much about blue light lately, but blue light actually affects our eyes in two ways. One, it causes damage to the photoreceptors and increases our risk for AMD. And two, because it bends more, it focuses in front of the retina and can cause an increase in glare and decrease in contrast sensitivity. Well, the interesting thing about lutein and zeaxanthin is they act as our own natural internal blue light filters, protecting our photoreceptors from blue light. But our body doesn't make lutein and zeaxanthin. It's not synthesized by our body. We have to get it from our diet. The average North American only gets 1 to 3 milligrams a day of lutein and zeaxanthin in their diet, and we need 10 milligrams a day for optimal eye health and function. So we need to know what foods, and we need to be educating our patients on what foods are highest in lutein. And the highest source of lutein are leafy greens, especially kale. Kale is the top eye food. There's 10 milligrams of lutein in 1 medium leaf of kale. Other foods that are good sources of lutein are egg yolks, green beans, peas, and broccoli. Now, zeaxanthin is harder to find in food. But the highest food source of zeaxanthin is orange peppers, and there also is some zeaxanthin in goji berries. So the next class of nutrients I'm going to talk about are omega-3s, and for this we're really going to boil it down to the basics, because there's so much information we could be sharing about omega-3s. So these are the key points that we need to know and that we need to be sharing with our patients. So the two most important omega-3s for ocular health and for our body in general are DHA and EPA. In the eye, DHA is in the photoreceptor outer segment cell membrane, and it is actually part of the visual signal. Interesting enough, if we don't have enough DHA in our body, the body will replace the DHA with an omega-6 fatty acid, and we actually get a slightly weaker vision signal as a result. Now, DHA is also abundant in brain tissue and in breast milk because it's very important in infant brain and eye development. Now, EPA acts, it's anti-inflammatory, and it's very important in the eye to help combat any diseases or conditions that are inflammatory in nature, such as dry eye, lid disease, and even AMD. Now, in food, DHA and EPA are abundant in fish, especially cold water fish, such as wild salmon, sardines, rainbow trout, and mackerel. But we can also get omega-3s from plants, and this omega-3 is called ALA. This is in our food, comes from flaxseed, walnuts, chia seed, avocado. ALA, once we ingest it, can actually be converted into DHA and EPA by our body. However, that conversion is not efficient. It's only about 2%. So for this reason, it's so important that we get our omega-3s from fish sources, which is one of the reasons why we really don't have our patients use flaxseed or flaxseed oil as a treatment for dry eye. Now, beyond having omega-3s in our diet, the most important thing is the omega-6 to 3 ratio. Omega-6s are pro-inflammatory, and inflammation is necessary in our body. It's what helps us heal. It's what helps when we get a cut or an infection. However, chronic inflammation is not good. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. Now, we need these two fatty acids to be in balance. And the proper ratio we should have is an omega-6 to 3 ratio of 4 to 1 or better. But the average North American has an omega-6 to 3 ratio of 15 to 1 or worse. So for that reason, it's important that most people increase the omega-3s in their diet, whether it's through food, through fish, or through supplements. As an interesting note, the average North American gets 150 milligrams of omega-3s a day in their diet. The next nutrient I'm going to discuss is vitamin C. So vitamin C is the major extracellular antioxidant, and it's abundant in all ocular tissues. In fact, vitamin C is 10 to 20 times more abundant in the aqueous humor than it is in the serum, and that's because the eye is such a highly metabolic organ. Now, vitamin C has a short half-life, and it's not made, nor is it stored by our body. So for that reason, it's important to consume foods that are high in vitamin C several times per day. So in saying that, let's think about what the highest food source, fruit source of vitamin C is. And it's kiwi. One kiwi fruit has 90 milligrams of vitamin C. Another question to think about is, what do you think has more vitamin C, an orange pepper or an orange? And it's actually an orange pepper. In fact, a half an orange pepper contains more than 2 times the amount of vitamin C than a small orange. Other foods that are high in vitamin C are broccoli, leafy greens, and other colored peppers as well. Now, to reap the benefits of vitamin C, it's important to eat these foods raw, because once we start cooking our foods, the vitamin C breaks down. So you'll see when we talk about the iFoods plan, we always say to eat foods both raw and cooked to enjoy or to reap the benefit of vitamin C more when it's raw. Cooking the food will help the absorption of the lutein and zeaxanthin because it breaks down the cell walls and lets the body absorb the lutein and zeaxanthin better. So the next nutrient we're going to discuss is vitamin E. Vitamin E is located in the retina, and its main purpose in the eye is to act as an antioxidant. It limits free radicals, helps immune function and metabolic processes. In the eye, it is actually in the RPE of the parafovea, where it helps cleanse the RPE cells. In foods, vitamin E is abundant in nuts, oils, orange peppers, and turkey breast. Vitamin A and beta-carotene. Vitamin A comes from plants and animals. From animals, it's called retinol, and from plants, it's called beta-carotene. Now, what happens is our body converts beta-carotene into vitamin A, and then from there, it takes the vitamin A and it creates rhodopsin for rod vision and photopsin for cone vision. So vitamin A actually helps generate the vision signal. Now, we know that we don't recommend beta-carotene in supplement form for 2 reasons. 1, for safety, because of the increased risk of lung cancer in smokers and ex-smokers, and 2, because it could compete with lutein when we're supplementing with it. However, beta-carotene from food is safe. And what foods are high in beta-carotene? Well, we all know about carrots, but the actual highest food source of beta-carotene is sweet potatoes. So the last nutrient I'm going to talk about tonight is zinc. And zinc is a mineral with antioxidant properties. And in the eye, what it does is it mobilizes vitamin A and vitamin E from the liver to the retina. Now, there are controversies about supplementing with high-dose zinc. However, we do know that zinc from food is safe, and in fact, it is difficult to get the RDA from zinc, which is approximately 12 to 15 milligrams a day, from our diet. So for this reason, it's important for us to educate ourselves and our patients about foods that are high in zinc. Now, the highest food source of zinc are oysters, probably not the most popular food, but other healthy sources of zinc include lean meats, turkey breast, lean beef, nuts and seeds, especially pumpkin seeds. Black beans and other beans are also good sources of zinc. Other nutrients that are important in ocular health and function are CoQ10, resveratrol, B vitamins, vitamin D, and lycopene. So that was the crash course on the 7 main nutrients for ocular health and function. And when you're talking to patients, I would say the most important are lutein and zeaxanthin, omega-3s, and vitamin C. Okay, now we're going to play a little game, and we're going to do a polling question. So this game is, which is better? And we're talking about the nutrient lutein. Okay, so I'm going to show the question. I'm going to show the slide first, and then I'm going to do a polling question. Everybody will get a chance to choose their answer, and we'll see how everybody has fared. So first, the question. So which is better as far as lutein? Which contains more lutein? Spinach, number 1, or Swiss chard, number 2? Okay. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties with the poll here. Okay, we're going to skip that. I'm going to tell you the answer, and then maybe we'll get that up and going for the next one. Sorry about that. The answer is, everybody ask to themselves what they think it is. Spinach. There's 12.1 milligrams of lutein in 100 grams of spinach and 11 milligrams in 100 grams of Swiss chard. Okay, so we're going to do a little review of the nutrients and where they are in the eye. This is actually a diagram that I sourced from the iFoods for Kids book. And when you see all the nutrients when we're done with this, this is a poster that I've put up in my exam room. And it's amazing to me how many people actually bring up nutrition to me as they're reading this poster. And I have actually referenced it quite a bit with my patients. So we're going to start with the cornea and see if we remember what nutrients are abundant in the cornea. And we have vitamin C. Now, how about the lens? Lutein and zeaxanthin and vitamin C. And the vitreous, vitamin C. And the macula, lutein and zeaxanthin. And the rest of the retina, vitamin C, vitamin E, beta-carotene, and omega-3 fatty acids. The neat thing about this diagram is it really helps people see that these nutrients, we're talking about them for a reason, they're actually in the eye and they help us create vision. Okay, normally when I do a full iFoods talk, we would now start talking about the foods and go into detail on how much of each food, how much of each nutrient is in the foods. But for today, we're just starting with the nutrients, and now we're going to go on how to integrate nutrition into our practices. So it's going to be a little more practical. So step 2 is to create the environment. This step puts educate into effect. And if you do it well, it's going to make all the following steps so much easier. Vision loss is on the rise. People need education, and patients are looking for education. The question is, will they find it through you and gain more value from their visit? So to be effective in creating the environment, we should have a consistent, continuous message throughout our office. So in a later step, in step 6, spread the message, we're going to discuss how to keep the message consistent throughout your online and print marketing as well. So as we're creating the environment, what we want to do is we want to put things in our waiting room, books, brochures, nutrition displays. We want to have displays of actual iFoods. I mean, this is something that you need to keep current and keep fresh, but it's great in the fall to get a nice bouquet of kale and put it in some water, or get a nice big bowl of orange peppers, or even citrus fruit. Last year at iWellness, we bought the big box of citrus fruit from the local high school, and we had a nice big vase of that, and we gave free grapefruits and oranges to anybody that popped in, whether our patients or people that came to browse for glasses. Another thing you can do in the waiting room is have an eye health library. I've, over the years, purchased so many healthy cooking books or nutrition books, and what I've done is I've taken all those books to the office, and we've created a library where any patient can borrow any of these books at any time. So instead of just having magazines throughout our office, we have these books, and I'm going to show you some pictures of that as we go on. In the exam room, having supplement samples, having posters, having signage. That nutrition poster with the eyeball is a good thing for the exam room. And in the optical boutique, you're going to want to have a retail display of your supplements and also a wellness or a nutrition corner. Sometimes all you need is a new perspective, and that's what happened to me when I became inspired to open iWellness. So here's some pictures of what we've done at iWellness to create a nutrition theme. And you can see in the one corner, we have our retail area. We call it our nutrition shop, our iFoods nutrition shop, where we have our supplements and our different accessories, and that's constantly changing. We're finding new and innovative products to add to that. We have a table right in front where where we can change up what we put on it for giveaways or for educational nutrition topics. The spectacle here is where we showcase a lot of our books that we use for our eye health library. So that's just a nice area where we have over-the-counter reading glasses, and patients can go and they can browse some of the books that they can borrow and take home as well. Okay, step 3, the ocular nutrition exam. So offering an ocular nutrition exam is a great way to set your practice apart and help you provide your patients with personalized nutrition plans so that they can protect their future ocular health. This section will outline the individual features of an ocular nutrition exam so that you can customize an exam that will work the best for your patient demographic and for your practice. So we're going to discuss how to create an ocular nutrition exam for your practice, what features and tests can you include, how to go about scheduling it, setting a fee structure, and then marketing it to patients. So let's talk about creating an ocular nutrition exam. We're going to go through these different elements that could be part of the nutrition exam. The first one is the nutrition questionnaire and the case history. And the nutrition questionnaire, in my opinion, is one of the most important parts of the nutrition exam, because if we don't know what our patients are eating, we don't know what nutrients they're getting in their diet, how can we know what they need to be taking, what supplements they need to be taking, or what foods they should be eating to maintain optimal ocular health? So here's a sample of the nutrition questionnaire that I use in my practice. And it does two things. It serves two purposes. One, it helps the patient make the connection between nutrition and ocular health. And two, it helps the doctor formulate an individualized nutrition plan using an analysis guide that is similar to a contact lens fitting guide. So at the end of the questionnaire, we have an analysis guide so that you can determine exactly how much lutein and zeaxanthin, how much antioxidants, how much omega-3s your patients are getting from their diet. And then from there, we give guidelines on what to recommend to these patients. Now, at iWellness, we don't exclude children from our discussions of nutrition. It's actually a very important part about every one of our eye exams. And this is a questionnaire that we give out to every child that comes in for an eye exam. And as you can see, we're asking them how many fruits, how many vegetables, and how many fish are you eating a week and per day for the fruits and vegetables. And then I've also put in there to check any of the foods below that they like to eat, because this opens up the conversation that we have when we talk about nutrition in the counseling part of the exam. As far as adults, there's a similar questionnaire that we use if we're not doing a full ocular nutrition exam, but just a comprehensive eye exam that asks about food as well on that questionnaire. It's not as in-depth as the ocular nutrition questionnaire, but it definitely gives us an idea. So the next feature that you could put in an ocular nutrition exam is macular pigment optical density testing. MPOD testing. So as we learned about lutein and zeaxanthin, they protect the photoreceptors from the harmful effects of blue light, and they act as antioxidants. Now, lutein and zeaxanthin, both from diet and from supplements, can increase macular pigment optical density. And measuring macular pigment optical density can give us an indication of the percentage of blue light that is reaching the photoreceptors. So what are the benefits to measuring MPOD? Well, we know that low MPOD is a key risk factor for AMD, and that higher MPOD is associated with increased visual performance. MPOD measurement can show our patients the efficacy of supplementation treatment. So if we do a baseline MPOD, measure that, put our patients on supplements if it's necessary, if they're high risk, or if they have a low MPOD, or need to achieve decreased glare. Then in 6 months' time, we should remeasure the MPOD, and we should see an increase to see the effectiveness of the treatment that we have them on. Another thing that MPOD does, measuring it, is it encourages compliance with treatment for our patients. It's same thing when we're going to the dentist. How much more diligent are we flossing our teeth for, before we're going to the dentist? Same thing if we're measuring MPOD. The patients will feel that we have a way to measure if they've been taking their supplements. And another thing is that people like to have a value. How many of our glaucoma patients ask us about their eye pressure, even though we know that glaucoma is more about eye pressure? But we share it with them because it makes them feel good. It's something that they can track. And that's similar with MPOD, and something that I've been finding in my practice as well. The patients really appreciate it. So it should be measured as a benchmark and then remeasured to assess the effectiveness of the treatment. A lot of times measuring MPOD is going to tell you whether you should be putting the patient on supplementation or whether you need to put them on supplementation if they're not a high-risk patient and they're asking you if they should go on a vitamin. You could see what their MPOD is and then determine if it's enough for them to be just getting their lutein and zeaxanthin from their diet. Another important part of the ocular nutrition exam is contrast sensitivity visual acuity testing, because we know in diseases such as AMD you're going to have a decrease in contrast sensitivity visual acuity before you'll have a decrease in the visual acuity. And low MPOD measurements people with low MPOD measurements can have a lower contrast sensitivity VA. In my practice, I use my electronic screen to measure the contrast sensitivity visual acuity, and I find that it's been very effective, and it's a very good way to track progression. Now, other things you can do is bundle retinal photography and OCTs in with your ocular nutrition exam, whether you're doing that with your regular eye exams already, or it could be something that you bundle in with this. And the most important part of the ocular nutrition exam after the nutrition questionnaire is going to be coming up with the ocular nutrition treatment plan. And this is what we're going to be talking about in step 4. Now, to take it up a notch, you can collaborate with a naturopath or a dietitian, because collaborating with nutrition professionals is an important part of having a successful nutrition niche in your practice. Many patients are going to have complex nutrition needs and that you're not going to be able to address in the context of an ocular nutrition exam. They may have inflammatory conditions, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, many food sensitivities or food allergies exist. So what I recommend is to reach out to local naturopaths and dietitians and to inform them of the ocular nutrition care that you offer into your practice. And you can also consider bringing a nutrition professional into your office one day a month, one day a week. They could rent space, and you could refer patients to them as well. The nice thing about these nutrition professionals is the type of patients that normally go to them are very proactive, and they're very interested in their health care. And they're used to looking at things a little differently. So I've really been pleasantly surprised with patients that we are getting now that we're offering a holistic approach and that we are collaborating with local naturopaths. Another interesting thing that the naturopaths can do and will do for you is they can test the levels of patients' vitamin D levels. They can test the omega-3 fatty acid levels. And they can check how patients are absorbing the nutrients or if they have food allergies or food sensitivities. Okay, so this is the action plan to integrating an ocular nutrition exam into your practice. So now you've sat down, you've decided what your exam is going to look like. Or maybe you're just going to add 1 or 2 features to your comprehensive eye exam and offer it to every patient. So after that's done, then you need to talk about scheduling, and you can do 2 different things. You can set specific nutrition days or times in the schedule, or you can just work them into your regular day. Then you'll need to set a fee structure. So compile a list of the services included in the exam and include which services are not going to be covered, and then set a fee for those. Now, when you come up for a full fee for this service, I do recommend that you do 1 fee for 2 visits, the initial visit and then 1 6 months later. This is going to increase compliance and it's going to add value to your patients. The next thing you're going to do is market your new service to your existing patients. Now, the ocular nutrition exam is most likely going to be a new concept for the patients, so we're going to need to educate them about the importance and value of the service. So here are some ways that you can accomplish this. You can select current high-risk patients, such as those already with AMD, or risk factors, such as a family history, patients with diabetes. Then you can recommend to these patients an ocular nutrition exam. They will definitely see the value. You can host an in-office seminar and give a presentation on ocular nutrition and introduce the nutrition exam then. Make sure you're adding it as a new service on your website, promote it through social media, and more importantly, visit your local professionals, the naturopaths, dietitians, and even GPs and other nutrition-focused healthcare professionals, and tell them and educate them about this service. So with just a few actions and the proper questions, your patient is now ready to learn how they can best prevent eye disease and maintain ultimate ocular function. And you are ready to create an individualized plan for each patient. We have all the information we need now. So before we move on to step 4, we're going to try to do another poll, okay? We're going to try this a little differently now. So I'm going to put the slide up first with the question. So, which is better, 1 or 2, with vitamin E? So which food has more vitamin E? 1, mango, or 2, black beans? Okay, so we have 66% of people said black beans and 34% said mango. Now, what's the correct answer? Mango. There's 1.12 milligrams of vitamin E in 100 grams of mango and 0.75 in 100 grams of black beans. This one's surprising to me as well. Okay, step 4, the main act. So now we're going to learn how to create individualized specific nutrition plans and the best ways to educate patients in each case. This is the core of the 7-step plan. To successfully integrate nutrition into your practice and to provide your patients with the best care, you're going to need to feel comfortable and confident with this part of the process. I'm going to provide you with a couple algorithms and some recommendations, but each of our patients is unique, and so are their nutritional needs, so we're going to have to make judgments. Now, the good news is you're already doing most of these things. All I'm going to do is outline it in a different way to have you look at ocular nutrition from a different and broader perspective. Instead of looking at it as to the patients we're going to be treating with AMD or dry eye or only our high-risk patients, I'm going to have you look at it as a way to affect every single patient that comes through your practice. So these are the 4 groups of patients we're going to look at. Number 1, everyone. Number 2, high-risk patients and patients who are hoping to achieve performance vision. 3, patients with AMD. And 4, patients with dry eye and lid disease. So when I go through these recommendations, I've developed them by looking at the standards of care in eye care. I've taken into account the opinions of the leaders in the field of ocular nutrition through a review of literature. And also the recommendations that you're going to hear today are what I use and the recommendations I give in my practice. And there's a lot of areas where people may have differing recommendations. So, nutrition for everyone. To encourage prevention and to help our patients make better everyday choices for their eye health, we should educate each and every one of our patients about nutrition and its effect on their ocular health and function. So what are we telling them? 1, we should tell them to follow the iFoods plan. And I'm going to review some 4 simple tips in the next slide. This makes it very quick and easy to give patients advice on iFoods when you use these 4 tips. Every patient should be exercising and maintaining healthy weight. Why? Because we know that adults need 30 minutes of moderate to intense physical activity per day, and kids need 1 hour for optimal health. And maintaining a healthy weight is important because high BMI or large waist circumference are risk factors for AMD and diabetes. I believe that all patients should be taking a high-quality omega-3 supplement if their fish consumption is below 3 to 4 times per week of cold water fish. If you're eating cold water fish, such as wild salmon, sardines, mackerel, or rainbow trout, 3 to 4 times per week, you're going to receive 850 milligrams approximately per day of DHA and EPA. So if we go back to when we talked about omega-3s, and we talked about the fact that DHA is in the photoreceptor outer segment, it's in our brain tissue, it's part of the vision signal, EPA works to decrease inflammatory conditions, it's important that we're receiving omega-3s in our diet, or if not from our food, then from supplements. Another thing that's important if we're having our patients eat fish 3 to 4 times per week is going to be talking to them about contaminants in fish. So the 4 fish that I recommended here, the wild salmon, sardines, mackerel, or rainbow trout, are all low in contaminants as well as being high in omega-3s. But there are some resources that you can send your patients to. I actually have a document called How Clean is Your Fish that I will give out to my patients when we start talking in detail about fish consumption and contamination. But I do refer them to the websites. edf.org is a great website, or blueocean.com. If anybody would like a copy of that PDF of the How Clean is Your Fish, just send me an email. My email address is in the handouts, and I will gladly share that with you. Now, if somebody has taken the nutrition questionnaire and they get a low rating, you may want to consider putting them on a prevention supplement. And when I say prevention supplement, a supplement that's going to contain especially lutein and zeaxanthin. So these are the 4 tips at iWellness. Every patient that comes in for an eye exam receives this counseling about these 4 tips at the end of the exam. And what I've done is created little cards, postcard size. On the front, it's just like this, and on the back we have our office information. So iFoods tips, easy. Leafy greens, a handful a day helps keep AMD away. Orange peppers, 2 peppers per week, 2 ways, raw and cooked. Cold water fish, 4 fish per week, small is safe. And eggs, 4 per week, the yolk is good. The neat thing about going through this with all your patients is it really fosters a conversation about nutrition. And it always amazes me, the people that I just don't think are going to be interested in it, but I keep myself to it and share it with everybody, the conversations that we get started about with nutrition. And it has really been engaging the patients. Okay, the next category is high risk and performance vision. So high-risk patients extend beyond those patients who have a family history of AMD to include patients that have other risk factors for the disease. According to the CARID study, the Carotenoids and Age-Related Eye Disease study, having a combination of 3 healthy lifestyle behaviors, such as healthy diet, physical activity, and not smoking, was associated with a 71% lower odds for AMD compared with high-risk scores. So the high-risk patient category includes patients that have a family history of AMD, other risk factors of AMD including smoking, UV exposure, cardiovascular disease, poor diet, and low physical activity levels, those with a high BMI, those with diabetes, or those with myopic degeneration. Performance vision is achieved when our patients are experiencing their best possible vision for all tasks and activities. So people that we may want to be achieving performance vision are athletes, hunters, graphic designers, computer users, people that are requiring precise vision for their profession or hobbies, professional drivers, even senior citizens who are driving at night. We need to be thinking about them having their best possible vision. Now we know that carotenoids can affect They can affect our glare and our contrast sensitivity vision, because we already discussed that lutein and zeaxanthin filter blue light. The last and zeaxanthin vision function studies have shown an increase in visual acuity and visual quality with lutein and zeaxanthin supplementation. So what's the nutrition plan for patients with high risk and performance vision? Follow the iFoods plan, exercise and maintain a healthy weight, take a high quality omega-3 supplement, the dosage depending on fish consumption, and then I would recommend an ocular supplement. So if they have a family history of AMD, some type of prevention supplement. If we're looking to achieve performance vision, a supplement with omega-3 and lutein and zeaxanthin is a great product. Now, Essentia has a great product that I fell in love with called Spark that we use in our practice for prevention, for maintenance. If I'm going to put somebody on an omega-3 without a high risk, without a family history of AMD, the Spark product has DHA, EPA, it has 3 milligrams, I think 3 milligrams of lutein, 1 milligram of zeaxanthin, and some vitamin D in it. And they market it for brain health, but I think it's a great product for eye health, and it's actually a product that I personally take myself as well. Okay, nutrition for AMD. We're going to go through this one pretty quick because this we could spend so much time with. But basically, these patients need to follow the iFoods plan, maintain a healthy weight, take a high-quality omega-3 supplement. So yes, we know that AREDS 2 did not show an improvement or a decrease in the progression to advanced AMD when they added the omega-3s. However, AREDS report number 20 did show that people that ate fish at least twice per week had a lower progression to wet or to advanced AMD. So we know that fish consumption and we know that omega-3s are important with AMD. We also know that omega-3s are important for overall ocular function. So if our patients are not getting enough omega-3s from their diet, I still will recommend these AMD patients to take an omega-3 supplement. Then we're going to want them on an AREDS 2 supplement or similar. And factors that we're going to have to consider, make sure there's no beta-carotene, questions regarding zinc, perhaps we're doing some genetic testing or looking at the dosage of zinc. But whichever you're using with that, just stay consistent. Okay, so we're going to do another poll question before we talk about our dry eye, our nutrition for dry eye. So this is going to give me an idea of what people are doing in their practice. So the question is, who do you currently talk to about omega-3s in your practice? 1, every patient. 2, most dry eye patients. 3, patients with dry eye and or AMD. Or 4, I rarely discuss omega-3s. Okay, awesome. So 42% of patients are saying that they're talking to omega-3s to most dry eye patients or of attendees, and 42% are talking to patients with dry eye and or AMD. Okay, so that's what I would have expected, which is great. So if we look at integrating nutrition into our practice, we could start talking about omega-3s with every single one of our patients. Now, nutrition for dry eye. Dry eye is one of the most common problems affecting our patients today. Nutritional therapy is an integral part of long-term dry eye treatment. So, what do we tell these patients? We tell them to follow the iFoods plan, to eat cold water fish 3 to 4 times per week, and to take an omega-3 supplement. The high-quality omega-3 supplement, we want 1 to 2,000 milligrams a day of DHA and EPA. Now, there's really no black and white where we can say you need to put that dry eye patient on exactly this much, but most dry eye professionals, dry eye experts are recommending 2,000 milligrams a day of DHA and EPA. Now, if they're eating a lot of fish, potentially you can decrease that to maybe 1,000 or 1,500 milligrams per day. Other nutrients that are helpful in dry eye management are turmeric, green tea, vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, which all act as antioxidants, and GLA, which is an omega-6 fatty acid. Now, I know we talked about omega-6s. We don't want too many omega-6s because we want to watch that omega-6 to 3 ratio. But GLA can actually have an anti-inflammatory properties when it's put together in the right combination with DHA and EPA. And it has been shown to decrease symptoms of dry eye, but it's important to use it in combination with an omega-3. Now, what about flax? We discussed that earlier. With flaxseed, we have ALA, which is our plant-based omega-3 fatty acid, and we're not going to get a good conversion. Now, flax seeds themselves can have other potential benefits to patients, but it's not going to be their main source of relief or treatment for their dry eye. This is just a little sheet that I have that summarizes everything that you have in your handouts that you can use. And here's some example of the treatment plans. First, I have one for adults, and I'll show you one for children. That this is what we do for all of our patients at Eye Wellness that comes in for their eye exams. So everybody we talk about, in addition to how they're going to achieve their best vision and protect their eyes, we talk about the eye foods plan, and then if we're recommending an eye vitamin, it gets written on there. Get moving, quit smoking, maintain a healthy weight, and take control of your health. And even children get the same type of plan. Okay, step 5. We're nearing the home stretch, just a few more minutes left. We're going to learn how to complete the experience. Now, if you're already retailing supplements in your practice, you're helping your patients more than you know, because if you're offering them the opportunity to purchase supplements, you're providing them with convenience, but more importantly, you're ensuring compliance. So what do you need to do? What's the action plan to start retailing supplements or to improve and retail more supplements in your practice? First, you should choose the supplements to retail, and you may need 2 or more brands to cover all of the types of patients and types of supplements you're going to be recommending. Then you should set the retail price, create a retail display, and transfer the patients to the nutrition consultant. Now, in setting the retail price, I look at offering supplements for sale as an added value to our patients, and we have to remember that it's something that they're going to be coming back multiple times and buying over and over. So we don't need the same margins that we expect or have when we're retailing our glasses, which is a 2-year cycle. So what I've done in my practice, if it is a product that the patients can buy elsewhere, I've sent my staff out to get the prices around us at the pharmacies and Walmart. And if it's a product that's only offered in the professional setting, then I would ask what the recommended price is from the companies. Another thing you can do is bundle the vitamins to a 3 or 6 month supply. You can create loyalty cards. This is the loyalty card we use at Eye Wellness. So after people have purchased 12 supplements, they will receive a free bottle. Now, creating the retail display, you don't need a big space, just a couple shelf spaces as you saw, and you don't have to display all of your products, but a few of each. And perhaps the most important part of retailing supplements would be to transfer your patients to the nutrition consultant, just like it works when we're dispensing. So what I do is I take my patients over, part of their plan that I am telling my consultant in the optical. After I tell them about their glasses, I tell them if and what I have recommended as a vitamin, and then the consultant will then do further counseling on the product, how to take the product, and if the patient has any other questions. Okay, we're going to skip, well, this one we're not going to do as a poll because we're running out of time, but we'll do as a question. So which is better, 1 or 2, our last one with lutein, peas or green onions? And the answer is peas. There's 2.5 milligrams of lutein in 100 grams of peas, and 0.9 milligrams in 100 grams of green onions. Okay, step 6, spread the message. So now that you're doing this, we've got to let our patients know. So these are ideas. You can share recipes on your website and social media. If you have a newsletter, you can include recipes in your patient newsletter and little articles or tips on nutrition. Create a recipe challenge and challenge patients in the office to make recipes and have a competition for that. You can do office promotions. Before we opened iWellness at my other office, we would do monthly nutrition, or once a year we would do a nutrition month. And for that month we would put a promotion on a year's supply of vitamins, and we would offer snacks, healthy snacks. So orange peppers and hummus, broccoli and hummus, little fruit cups, maybe an iFoods nut mix. And it's amazing. We would have that in our optical, and we would see people snacking and asking questions and getting engaged, and we actually even saw an improvement in our optical business when we do that. Now at iWellness, we offer every patient when they come in an iFoods smoothie. So every day we're creating new smoothie recipes, and so right away when they come in, they can experience that we're doing something a little different here, and we're starting to talk to them right at the beginning about why these foods are good for their eye health. The last step is to follow up. It's very important we know it's very important to track things and to keep things on track. So we need to follow up with our patients. We need to keep our displays current, keep our online content current, to track it and to stay educated. So how do your patients and your practice benefit from the change? Well, your patients are going to see improved ocular health and overall health, less long-term vision loss. They're going to be better informed and educated. If you're retailing supplements in your practice, you're going to be offering them convenience, and they're going to have confidence about the supplements that they're taking. Healthier, better cared for, and more loyal patients are going to mean a healthier practice with high credibility and a higher bottom line. So congratulations, you made it through the 7 steps of ocular nutrition, and we've discovered how both your patients and your practice can benefit from incorporating nutrition into your practice. So I encourage you to go back to your practices and to start implementing your action plan. Your practice and your patients are going to benefit immediately, and you will be on the receiving end of letters like this. This is a letter that I received from a 69-year-old female. She wrote, "My ophthalmologist has never said a word about nutrition in my 10 years of going to him. Perhaps he thought I was eating properly because I am slim. Now, at 69, I have macular degeneration. Perhaps I could have avoided it because I am a dessert junkie. Probably didn't eat enough greens or fruit. I have always worn sunglasses, but alas, I have it and must deal with it. Been eating more greens and fruits for a week now. Thank you very much for being a light at the end of the tunnel." How do you think this patient perceives her original doctor, knowing that she could have been better informed and cared for? You can read about nutrition, so can your patients, but my goal is to inspire you to educate your patients about ocular nutrition. It's time to empower our patients and help them make better everyday choices that will help lead them to a lifetime of healthier eyes. So thank you very much. We went through quite a bit today. We're on 9 p.m. right away. So before we open it up to questions, I'm going to take a little bit of time to share some information about Essentia. So Essentia has a product that they use for their omega-3 for dry eye. This is a product we actually do use in our practice for dry eye as well, one of the products, and it's a unique formulation of EPA, DHA, and GLA. They also have third-party testing for every lot of product that's accessible, and it's accessible online 24/7. And that's important to make sure that you're having a pure product, especially with omega-3s, because we want to know where the fish is sourced from. It's manufactured in Canada, which I love, and they share educational tools for you and your patients. And they have 2 special offers that are on until October 28th. So if you place an order for any 6 omega-3 products, you only pay for 5. And the first 50 orders are going to receive a copy of the new Cooking with iFoods book. So we just released a new book about 2 weeks ago, Cooking with iFoods, Recipes to Protect Your Eyes from Blue Light. And Essentia is generously going to be giving free books away to the first 50 orders of their omega-3 product. Okay, thank you. That's all I have for the presentation. And now I think we're going to take about 15 minutes to do some questions.
Hi, Dr. Kimona. This is Teresa Yan. So I'm going to be asking the questions. Thank you so much for this great webinar. If you haven't submitted a question yet and you would like to, please type it in the question box, and I will do my best to go through all of them. So to start the Q&A off, a question we received is that you mentioned orange peppers throughout the presentation. What about red, yellow, and green peppers?
Okay, so peppers are, all peppers are very good sources of vitamin C. Okay, so all peppers are good. The orange peppers have more vitamin C than all the colored peppers. We start with orange peppers, then yellow, then red, then green. Orange peppers, however, are the only peppers that have a significant amount of lutein and especially zeaxanthin in them. There's actually 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin in half an orange pepper. So all peppers are an important part of a healthy iFoods diet for the vitamin C content, but orange should be included more.
Great, thank you. Another question that came in is, what is your opinion on supplementing with mesozeaxanthin?
Mesozeaxanthin is an interesting area. Personally, I don't supplement with mesozeaxanthin because I take the approach of dietary carotenoids. Now, in saying that, there is a lot of information and a lot of studies out there that are showing that mesozeaxanthin in supplement form can be very effective in reducing the risk for progression to advanced macular degeneration. One of the things that happens is in our body, lutein can convert into zeaxanthin. And what it does when it does that is it actually makes mesozeaxanthin. And there's a theory that patients that can't make that conversion from lutein to mesozeaxanthin are the ones that are progressing to advanced AMD. And that theory could definitely make supplementing with mesozeaxanthin important. So definitely something worth looking at, all the new research. They're continuing to come out with more of that.
Great, thank you. Another question that came in regarding the MPOD testing comment was that they had heard there was an inexpensive method of measuring MPOD using polarizing filters in the instrument. Have you heard of this, or are you aware of this?
Actually, no, that's something interesting I am not aware of, but I would like to learn more about that.
Great, thank you. Another question that came in regarding omega-3 is, what would you suggest for omega-3 supplements if you have someone that is a vegan or vegetarian, for that matter?
So you can find vegan omega-3 supplements. They often contain DHA. They don't contain as much DHA and EPA, but they contain DHA, and we'll get it often from the seaweed. In our practice, we actually use the product from Essentia that they have a vegan, NutriVeg, I think it's called. Originally, I wasn't going to carry this product. I was just referring my patients that were vegan to the health food store to get a vegan omega-3 product. But then what I found when we started marketing ourselves as a holistic eye care place, a higher percentage of the patients that were coming were vegans. So there are good products that you can get for that. You also need to be telling these patients, since they're not eating eggs and they're not eating fish, that they should be increasing their sources of the plant-based omega-3s as well. So flaxseed, chia seed, avocado and all of that.
Great, thank you. Another question that came in is, which brand of instrument do you use for MPOD measuring?
I have the Quantify from ZeaVision in my office. I know that TopCon also has an instrument, and I also know that one of the Zeiss cameras, you can have an attachment on it that can measure MPOD also.
Great. Thank you. Another question was, where would you purchase the Spark supplement?
The Spark supplement you can get through the Essentia. So when you make an order, if you're going to make an order for any of their omega-3 products, we order it directly from them.
Great. I had a comment here, if you could talk about the controversy on zinc a little bit, or just talk about that a little bit more.
That I would rather do more in a question, because we could be talking about that for quite some time. But what I'll say is 80 milligrams of zinc in the ARIDS 2 formulation is a high dose of zinc. And high doses of zinc can sometimes have been linked with an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. Another thing with zinc is there may be a link with certain genotypes in patients where if we're putting them on zinc, it's actually maybe increasing their progression to advanced AMD. There's a lot of controversy, many different studies going back and forth in this. You're going to have as many people on one side saying we need to be doing genetic testing and watching who are putting patients on zinc as you're going to have on the other. So right now, you know, it's something that we could be talking about this for a long time. But you have to watch at 80 milligrams of zinc in all those products. It is a high level. With 25 milligrams of zinc, we also, the ARIDS 2 showed no change in the progression from moderate to advanced AMD.
Great, thank you so much. Another question that came in was regarding nuts. Are nuts beneficial for eye health?
Actually, yes, nuts are. There was an independent study on its own that showed that that having nuts in your diet, a handful a day, showed a decrease in the risk of macular degeneration. Despite that, if we look at the eye nutrients, vitamin E, zinc, and ALA, nuts are a good source of that as well. So nuts are, we just have to watch how much nuts we're eating, and a handful a day is what we recommend.
Great. Another question came up, actually this has come up a few times, is there an ideal ratio for EPA to DHA?
It depends what you're going to be using it for, but for dry eye, we're going to want more EPA than DHA. And if you're going to be doing supplementation more for macular, for your to be uptake for performance vision, we can have more DHA. And brain health, you're going to want more DHA than EPA.
Great, thank you. An attendee was also curious of what ARID supplement you may use for AMD patients.
I use a couple of them. Depending on, what a couple things, depending on what the patient has already been on. If they're seeing a retinal specialist, I really cherish my relationships with the retinal specialist. So I do use a variety of the different supplements that are out there for AMD treatment.
Great. Another question was, let me just see, regarding omega-3 consumption and the dosages. Is there a risk with higher intake?
If you're doing a higher intake of, I'm not sure if this is asking about supplements or fish.
It just says consumption.
Okay, so with fish consumption, yes, the more fish you're eating, we have to worry about mercury contamination. So we have to be choosing fish that is low in mercury. For example, farmed salmon is only been recommended to eat no more than one to 2 times per month. So if you're having your patients, eat fish 2 to 4 times per week, We want to make sure that they're not eating fish high in contaminants. So a little simple rule is small is safer. So fish that tends to be smaller is lower in the food chain. If a whole fish can fit on your dinner plate, it's probably safe to eat. But wild salmon, rainbow trout, sardines, and mackerel are all very safe to consume. So yes, we do have to start worrying about contamination if we're consuming a lot of fish.
Great.
Hey, Teresa, just before you get on to the next question, I just want to thank everyone for coming. We are running out of time, so we'll just do 2 more questions before we kind of end the session. If you haven't already seen, in the bottom right where the questions are posted, there is a handout there for your take-home that Dr. Campona has given us. So please download that before the session does end. But I do want to thank everyone for attending. I'll thank everyone once again once we have 2 more questions.
So another question that came in regarding the omega-6 to 3 ratio is what was the ideal ratio that you recommend, or maybe you can speak to that a little bit more as you mentioned it in your presentation.
So omega-6 to omega-3, you want 4 omega-6 to 1 omega-3 or better than that, so or lower, or 3 to 1 or 2 to 1 from our diet. Omega-6s are abundant in our diet. We get them from vegetable oils, we get them from processed foods. So most of us are eating omega-6s to every 1 omega-3 that we're having. So we want that ratio to be 4 to 1 or better. So in addition to increasing our omega-3s, a good way to do that is to decrease the omega-6 consumption. So less processed food, less of some of those vegetable oils. Avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil tend to be good choices, even coconut oil for that.
Great, thank you. And the last question is, what are some of the things that you're considering when you're choosing an omega-3 product?
For omega-3 products, as for all supplements, we want to make sure it's a high-quality product. Okay, so we want to make sure that because nutraceuticals are not regulated, similar to drugs are, we want to make sure that the companies are having a way to make sure that it's high quality. Omega-3s in particular, I personally look for an omega-3 that's in triglyceride form, because a triglyceride form omega-3 is the natural fish form and tends to be absorbed better by our bodies. The triglyceride form omega-3s also is better, I find, are better tolerated by our patients. They get less burpy fish burps, fish burp backs. So those are all the things that I'm looking for in omega-3. And I like a company that actually supports us as well and offers training to my staff as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Campona.
So thank you once again, Teresa and Lori, for hosting us in this webinar. And I want to thank all the listeners that are out there that have taken the time to join us and being OAO members. We do just coming up, we do have an ICI Learn webinar in a few days on Monday, I believe, and lots of space still available if you want to learn more about the program, where we are now. We've got 2 great speakers, a few other events coming up in the near future. For all the people that are up north, up in Thunder Bay, I'll see you in a couple days as I'll be attending your event, live event on Friday and Saturday. But thanks once again for Dr. Campona for enlightening us in your knowledge, obviously giving us the fish, but also teaching us how to fish, teaching us how to bring this into our practice, and obviously the great products that Essentia does offer. So with that, everyone have a good night, and you should receive your education verification shortly in the next week or so. But please let us know if you do not. Take care, everyone.